Discover this incredible, heartwarming love story that changed lives in just 30 days. In the heart of Willow Creek, under the expansive Midwest sky, Lucy hurried down Main Street, fatigue weighing heavily on her shoulders. At 32, a single mother of two, she carried the world in her worn-out sneakers. Working double shifts at the diner and local supermarket, every day felt like a relentless climb. Yet, her children, Max and Ellie, ages 7 and 5, were her true fuel. Their laughter lit up her evenings, and their innocent smiles filled her heart with hope. But the bills piled up like autumn leaves, and Lucy often felt like she was drowning in a sea of expectations. As she poured pancakes for hungry customers or restocked shelves at the supermarket, she spread cheer, teaching her kids the values of resilience. Even as whispers of judgment floated around her in this tight-knit community, she instilled in them the belief that hard work could lead to better days. Each morning, they would bundle into their rickety car, hope mingling with the smell of their mother's burnt toast, ready to face whatever the day would throw at them. Over the fields of golden corn lay a forgotten farmhouse, where Jake, a 34-year-old war veteran, wrestled with his past. Returning home, he thought he would find peace. Instead, he found shadows, memories clinging to him like a weight he couldn't shake off. Alone, his days melded into weeks filled with silence, interrupted only by the sound of his saw cutting through wood. Woodworking was his escape, a chance to lose himself in a world where he wasn't haunted by guilt. Each piece he crafted was an attempt to reclaim a sense of purpose. It was one autumn afternoon, amidst falling leaves and gray clouds, that Lucy's old car coughed its last breath on a desolate stretch of road. Heart racing and frustration bubbling, she marched down the dirt path to Jake's farm. When she reached his door, she found more than just a skilled craftsman. She found a heart willing to help her in her moment of need. Could you help me with my car?" Lucy's voice trembled with the weight of her anguish. Jake studied her for a moment, the tiredness in her eyes reflecting his own struggles. He nodded, a spark of connection igniting in the air between them. What began as a simple favor transformed into something profound. As they spent time together working on the car, Jake revealed his woodworking skills, and Lucy found herself falling in love with the creation of beautiful things. They shared laughter and stories, hopes and dreams, and the lonely walls around their hearts began to crumble. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Deciding to build a community center together, they envisioned a haven for families like Lucy's. Still, the whispers of doubt began to swirl around them. With every passing day, neighbors were raising eyebrows and spreading rumors, questioning Jake's past and Lucy's intentions. Just when they thought they were on a solid foundation, a miscommunication caused a rift between them, opening old wounds. In a town where everyone knew everyone's business, would they find the courage to break free from the expectations and fear that bound them? Could love truly heal the scars they both carried? As the winds shifted and the trees shed their leaves, Lucy and Jake stood on the precipice of a decision that could either mend their fractured bond or shatter the fragile hope they had built together. The question lingered, was it possible for two souls to rise above their pasts and change the fate of Willow Creek in just 30 days? Lucy paced the small kitchen, the warm scent of spices lingering in the air from her last meal. Max and Ellie were playing blocks on the floor, their laughter a melodic backdrop that chased away the worry that gnawed at her. But in her heart, anxiety bloomed. The rift between her and Jake felt monumental, heavier than the weight of her worries about bills and overdue notices. It had begun with a simple misunderstanding, a misheard word, an unintended glance. While Lucy had been preparing the plans for the community center, Jake had taken something she said as a critique of his abilities. He had withdrawn, cloaking himself in silence, retreating to his workshop where shadows surrounded him like a familiar embrace. Their once easy conversations became strained, filled with pauses pregnant with unspoken words. "Mom." Ellie's voice broke through Lucy's fog. The little girl held a tower of blocks now 3 stories high, her excitement palpable. "Look. I made a castle." "That's beautiful, honey," Lucy said, forcing a smile, but the joy felt stilted in her chest. Her heart ached for Jake, for the way they had connected while hammering away at their dreams. She recalled his hands moving deftly, shaping wood into pieces that were more than just furniture, they were expressions of his heart. Just then, a knock interrupted her thoughts. She opened the door to find Jake standing on the porch, hands stuffed deep in his pockets. The fading light of the day cast a melancholy glow around him, making his silhouette more pronounced. "Hey, Lucy," he said softly, his voice almost a whisper. "Hi, Jake," she replied, her heart racing. I brought you this." He held out a small wooden toy car, skillfully crafted, a testament to the hours he had spent alone. "I thought Max might like it." Lucy took the toy, feeling the smoothness of the wood. It was beautiful, and in its simplicity, it spoke volumes. "Thank you," she said, her voice trembling. Jake stepped inside, the air between them thick with unresolved tension. "Lucy, about what happened, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take it the wrong way. Jake, it's okay. I should have been clearer. I never meant to hurt you." Her voice caught in her throat. As he met her gaze, she noticed a flicker of vulnerability in his eyes. "I've been working on myself, but sometimes it feels like I'm back in the dark, you know?" Lucy nodded, understanding flashing between them. The healing they had envisioned for the community center was something they both needed, a sanctuary not just for others but for them. "Can we try again?" she asked, taking a step toward him. "Yeah. I'd like that." A small smile broke through Jake's serious demeanor, and the distance between them began to close. They decided to meet later that evening, piecing together plans amidst the remnants of the past. With Max and Ellie tucked in bed, Lucy prepared a simple dinner, her excitement bubbling. She set the table for 2, the din of clattering dishes filling the silence that had once threatened to suffocate them. As they spread blueprints across the table, Lucy felt hope blooming again. They shared laughter and tossed ideas back and forth, the room alive with enthusiasm. But then, as Jake made a suggestion, the conversation turned heavy again. "What about the festival next week? Everyone will be looking closely at us." Lucy's heart dropped. The last thing they needed was more judgment from their neighbors. "Let us just focus on us for now. We can worry about what they think later." As night fell, the weight of the day faded with each passing hour. Yet, the walls around Willow Creek still loomed, watching, waiting for a crack to expose their vulnerabilities. Their pasts were still there, lurking in the shadows, reminding them of who they were and who they wanted to be. Would they finally break free of those chains? The night deepened, and just as they began to solve their shared dreams, knocking erupted once more, a hard, urgent sound on the door. Lucy looked at Jake, both of them frozen in place. Was it the town, ready to pull them apart again? Her heart raced as she moved towards the door, knowing that whatever waited outside could change everything once more. Lucy hesitated, her hand hovering over the doorknob. Jake's expression mirrored her own uncertainty, his brow furrowing as he held back the words that were so plainly etched across his face. She didn't want to tarnish the fragile moment they were beginning to rebuild, yet the knock persisted, growing louder, more insistent. "Who could that be?" Jake asked, his voice tense. I don't know." She glanced back at him, anxiety pooling in her stomach. With a deep breath, Lucy opened the door to reveal Mrs. Thompson, her elderly neighbor from across the street. Dressed in her usual floral dress and with her hair neatly pinned up, Mrs. Thompson looked frantic. Tears glistened in her eyes, and Lucy felt a sudden rush of dread. "Lucy. Oh dear, I'm so sorry to disturb you," Mrs. Thompson rushed, her voice shaky. "It's about the festival and the community center. We need your help. What happened? Lucy asked, her heart racing, concern immediately taking over. There was a shift in the air, tension coiling tightly around Lucy and Jake. Mrs. Thompson stepped inside, her frail frame shaking slightly. The town council is discussing cutting funding for the festival due to concerns about community support. They think her voice faltered, they think nobody cares anymore. Lucy felt a knot tighten in her throat. But that festival is so important to bringing everyone together. We can't let it go. I know, that's what I tried to tell them. But they want proof of our commitment, and they're planning to have a meeting tomorrow morning. If we don't show up with support, it may not happen this year. Jake's hand brushed against Lucy's as they shared a look of realization. This wasn't just about them anymore, it was about everyone in Willow Creek. The laughter of the children at the festival, the joy that filled the air, the sense of community they had both craved. Let's get everyone involved, Jake said with growing determination. If we rally the neighborhood, we can turn this around. Mrs. Thompson nodded vigorously, gratitude softening her features. You two always inspire hope in us. We need to show them that Willow Creek is alive. Lucy felt the old spark return, ignited by Jake's words. We'll make flyers, call a meeting, whatever it takes. We can't allow fear to dictate our community's spirit. As adrenaline pumped through her veins, the air between her and Jake shifted again. This was what they were meant to do together, build something that mattered not just for themselves, but for everyone around them. It felt liberating, freeing them from their earlier anxieties. Let's get to work, Lucy said, a sense of purpose suffusing her voice. They quickly drafted a plan, poring over details as Mrs. Thompson contributed vivid memories of past festivals while Jake designed the flyers. Laughter began to bubble up again, driven by their shared excitement. The spark of hope turned into a flame, fueling their passion to energize the community, but just as they finished assembling the last flyer, Jake's phone buzzed unexpectedly, cutting through the high of anticipation. He picked it up, his face changing as he read. What's wrong? Lucy asked, her heart sinking. I think we have a bigger problem than just the meeting. It's about the council digging into the community records. It seems they have something against us specifically. Lucy's heart dropped as dread settled in. What could they possibly want from their little family amidst all this chaos? Wait, what do you mean? As she pressed for details, a sense of unease began to creep back into the room, mixing ominously with the excitement they had just built. Would the challenges of the council leave them vulnerable again, or could they rally together and fight back? She felt Jake's gaze on her, both of them caught between hope and fear as they faced an uncertain tomorrow. The weight of it all lingered, ready to break above them at the slightest wrong move. With one last look at Jake, determination ignited within her. No matter what happens, we'll face it together. And let us make sure everyone knows that, Jake replied, gripping her hand tightly, but the question loomed over them as they prepared to confront the council. Would their community stand behind them? Would their past fears catch up, or would they finally find their footing? Lucy glanced back at the flyers spread across the table, her mind racing. Tomorrow would change everything again. As dawn broke the next morning, Lucy felt the weight of the day settling over her like a heavy blanket. She glanced at the scattered flyers still on the table, the ink barely dry. Breathless anticipation mixed with an undercurrent of dread coursed through her. Shadows of uncertainty danced around her thoughts, but alongside them, she felt a flicker of hope. Jake arrived just as the sun kissed the horizon, a fresh batch of flyers clutched in his hand. The confidence on his face melted some of Lucy's anxiety, and she couldn't help but smile. We're going to make some noise today, he declared, his voice steady. We'll show them how much this festival means to us. Lucy admired his optimism. You really think we can turn opinions around? Absolutely. If we can get everyone together, it's not just about the festival anymore. It's about community. He held her gaze, and in that moment, they both understood the gravity of what lay ahead. They were fighting not just for a celebration, but for the heart of their town. After a quick breakfast, the two set out, flyers in hand. The morning was bright, and the usual sounds of morning life, birds chirping, distant laughter, the hum of engines provided an energetic backdrop. They made their way through the neighborhood, ringing doorbells and chatting with neighbors. Lucy was surprised at how many families showed enthusiasm, nodding in agreement as they read the flyer bearing the words, "Together we can make a difference." "This means so much," a mother said, her smile warm. "The festival always brings smiles to our kids' faces. We can't let it fade away." With each door they knocked on, Lucy's resolve strengthened. Yet, there were whispers of doubt, too. Some expressed concern about the town council's decisions, voicing fears that felt all too real given the whispers they had heard about funding cuts. But what struck Lucy most was the moment of unity, when a crowd gathered around them on the street. It was a mix of all ages, parents with children, elderly couples clutching walking canes, and teenagers laughing together. Their excitement was contagious, filling Lucy with a glow of purpose. "We need to stand together," Jake declared, standing on a low wall to get a better view. His voice rang through the crowd. "They think if we don't show support, we don't care. But that's not true. Look around." He gestured widely at their neighbors, all eyes on him. "Willow Creek is alive. Let's prove it to the council." A roar of agreement erupted, and Lucy's heart soared. Their voices began to overflow with rallying cries, hope hanging in the air like the bright colors of the flyers. But beneath the exhilaration was that gnawing question: could they really shift the council's opinion? All at once, Lucy's mind drifted back to the ominous warning from Jake's phone call. The thought stole her breath for a moment. What if they dig deeper? She whispered to Jake, worry creeping back. He looked back at her, his expression softened. "If they do, we'll be ready to face it. We're not standing alone anymore." Around them, the crowd's chatter rose in a heartbeat, buoying her spirits. But before Lucy could respond, a familiar figure appeared in the distance. It was Mrs. Thompson, her frail frame barely keeping up with the young families rushing by. Her eyes were wide with concern, but Lucy felt a warmth from the old woman that reminded her of everything they were fighting for. "Lucy." "Jake." Mrs. Thompson called, her voice piercing through the din. "I've heard some unsettling news. The council's really set on this decision, and they want to meet with some of us, but it's alive with rumors." Lucy's heart sank. They weren't just fighting for the festival, they were battling something bigger. "What do they want?" With an aura of urgency, Mrs. Thompson stepped closer, her voice barely a whisper. "They believe there are secrets in the community records, some of them relate to you." Lucy felt her pulse quicken. Secrets? What secrets could she have that would threaten the very thing they were trying to protect? "Let's stay strong and figure this out," Jake said, squeezing her hand reassuringly. The crowd around them buzzed like a beehive, anticipation swirling in the air. Lucy felt the stakes rising, a boundless mixture of fear and resilience intertwining within her. The day had evolved into something unexpected, and the true challenge was only just unfolding. As they prepared for the council meeting, another question lingered: would the shadows of the past upend everything, or would it become their fuel for the fight ahead? As the sun climbed higher, casting a golden hue over the bustling street, Lucy's heart raced. She and Jake shuffled through the crowd, uncertainty shadowing their every step. The weight of Mrs. Thompson's words clung to her like a second skin. Secrets? What could have been hidden in the community records? "Focus, Lucy," Jake said, drawing her from her spiral of thoughts. His grip on her hand felt firm, a lifeline amid the chaos. "We need to harness this energy today." Nodding, she drew in a deep breath, attempting to drown out her fear. Around them, the crowd was alive, filled with animated conversations. Lucy spotted neighbors discussing strategies, children laughing, and the elderly sharing memories of past festivals. Each smile fueled her determination, but the secrets loomed large in her mind. As they made their way through the throngs of people, Lucy glanced up at Jake. What if they find out about my family? What if? Stop right there. We're not thinking like that, he interrupted gently but firmly. You've shown everyone that this festival matters. Your family matters. Let us focus on what we can control. I know. I just can't shake the feeling that we're digging deeper into something we're not ready to face, Lucy confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake gave her a determined look. Whatever comes, we confront it together. Right? She nodded, albeit hesitantly, and plastered a smile on her face. It was time to rally the spirits around her. Facing the crowd, she raised her voice above the hum of excitement. Everyone. Can I have your attention? The buzzing chatter gradually faded, and all eyes turned to her. In that moment, Lucy felt a surge of courage. Thank you all for being here today. We're standing together not just for the festival but for the essence of Willow Creek. The crowd murmured in agreement, filling her with warmth. Jake stepped up beside her. We'll show the council how deeply we care about this place. Let us keep this energy alive. We'll gather everyone for a town meeting tonight, right here. Cheers erupted, hearts joining in one powerful rhythm. Lucy felt her spirit lift with every voice that joined in, drowning out her earlier worries. Yet, part of her still felt that underlying fear, an anxious pit in her stomach. As Lucy worked through the crowd, she noticed Mrs. Thompson lurking nearby. She caught the old woman's eye and felt a bond of understanding between them. Mrs. Thompson's wrinkled hands looked so worn, yet her gaze burned bright with resilience. You're a brave girl, Lucy, the old woman spoke softly, moving closer. I fought my battles, too. Whatever they uncover, know you're not alone. Beneath Mrs. Thompson's wisdom, Lucy felt a flicker of assurance. Just then, Jake's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, eyebrows knitting as he read the message. We need to hurry. The council is meeting soon. They want answers from us, he announced, urgency lacing his words. What do we say? Lucy asked, her stomach tightening again. The tide of fear began to swell within her. We stand by our community. By each other, Jake urged, his voice resolute. We deserve to have our voices heard, and we won tea back down. With renewed determination, Lucy squared her shoulders. The fight wasn't just for the festival, it was for their lives, for their stories. The more they rallied together, the closer they were to uncovering the truth. But with the shadows lurking, Lucy felt a question hanging over their heads. Would they be able to confront the council and the potential fallout of hidden truths? Would time be on their side, as the crowd surged forward, ready to converge on the town hall? A whisper of doubt echoed in her heart. What awaited them in the council chambers would either be a reckoning or a path toward healing. Lucy held onto Jake's hand tightly, her mind racing with possibilities. This was only the beginning, and the next step could change everything. Would their unity shift the tides, or would the truth tear them apart? The crowd moved with purpose, the murmur swelling into a charged harmony of voices. Lucy felt the surge of collective strength dance through her, urging her steps forward. As they approached the towering town hall, a wave of adrenaline washed over her. Would this hall still feel like home after today? Jake squeezed her hand, a silent promise coursing between them. He thrust open the heavy doors, and they stepped into the cool interior. A sharp contrast to the sun-soaked streets outside, the hallway was lined with portraits of former leaders, their stoic faces watching silently. Remember what we're here for, Jake said, glancing around, assessing the atmosphere. A familiar face caught Lucy's attention. Mr. Johnston, the blacksmith who had always lent his wisdom to community affairs. He stood near the front, frowning as he listened to whispers from council members. Lucy, Jake prompted, bringing her back to the moment. This is our chance. Taking a deep breath, she nodded. They made their way toward the assembly room, where more townsfolk began to gather, their faces a canvas of anticipation and anxiety. Some looked hopeful, while others appeared wary. We need to establish our stance, she said, her voice trembling but resolute. We can't let them think we're fractured. Right, Jake agreed as they stepped inside the dimly lit room. The council table loomed large at the front, the council members seated like sentinels. They eyed the crowd pouring in, whispers bouncing off the walls. Mr. Klein, the mayor, stood and cleared his throat. Thank you for coming. We've called this emergency meeting to address recent concerns regarding the festival and the matters brought to our attention. Lucy felt the room grow still, the weight of eyes pressing down on her. She leaned toward Jake, confidence mingling with dread. What if they twist our words? Then we tell the truth, he replied quietly, emboldening her. When the mayor gestured for speakers, Lucy stepped forward. The warm clap of her heart echoed in her ears. Please, I want to speak, she stated clearly, locking eyes with him. As she approached the podium, she felt the warmth of collective support, lifting her spirits like wings. With each word, she fought to keep her voice steady. We're here because we love our town. The festival isn't just a celebration, it's a representation of our community's heart. Nods from the crowd encouraged her to continue. We know there are secrets. But this is the time to unite our stories, not to let them divide us. Mr. Klein looked intrigued, though concern still clouded his features. What kind of secrets are we discussing? Her heartbeat quickened, words tumbling forth. The records may reflect the past, but they can't erase the bonds we share today. We need to own our history, not hide from it. A murmur rippled through the assembly, both wary and intrigued. Lucy's gaze settled on Mrs. Thompson, who nodded fervently, setting off a wave of resolve through the audience. But what happens if the past is painful? Mr. Klein asked, his voice skeptical yet compassionate. Lucy paused, realizing this was at the moment to address not just fear but healing. Painful truths can bind us together. We can face them as one. Only then can we move forward stronger. A charged silence followed her words, and she held her breath. Would they understand? Would they embrace this path of vulnerability? Then, an unexpected voice rose from the back. We've kept too many secrets for too long. It was Mr. Johnston, stepping forward, emboldened by her declaration. We owe it to ourselves to know the truth. Encouragement rippled through the crowd, a stark contrast to the original uncertainty. Hope flickered like a candle in the shadows. Lucy exchanged glances with Jake. They had sparked something vital, but just as the energy began to shift, the doors swung open. A voice called from behind them, a newcomer whom nobody expected. Lucy's heart sank. Who was it? What now? The revelation was lurking, and she could feel the tide turning. Would this moment lead to unity or conflict? The figure in the doorway stood silhouetted against the sunlight, and gasps rippled through the crowd. It was Nora, the town's former mayor, who had left under a cloud of controversies long ago. Her once vibrant spirit looked diminished, but there was a lingering faint flicker in her eyes that hinted at the passion she used to possess. Lucy, she called, her voice wavering, I need to speak. Heart racing, Lucy caught Jake's concerned look. What could Nora possibly want to say? With a subtle nod, she stepped aside, allowing Nora to approach the forefront. What could she offer when she abandoned us? Murmured someone from the crowd, the whisper echoing fearfully. Nora's gaze swept the room, holding the attention of each person present. I know you remember the past, she started, her voice gaining strength. I can't pretend that my departure didn't leave scars. We all carry wounds, but now is the time for healing. Lucy's heart softened, caught by the intensity in Nora's eyes. The room seemed to hold its breath, waiting for her to continue. I come back not as a leader, but as someone who has learned from mistakes. The former mayor moved closer to the podium, a gesture of sincerity. When I was in office, I thought I had to protect the town by keeping secrets, by avoiding the ugly truths that dwell within our history. But I was wrong. Nervous murmurs began to swell once more, though they were laced with something new, curiosity mixed with skepticism. Nora pressed on, her voice rising. The truth has power, yet we need to face it together. I am here to take accountability, to show that our community can nurture each other even amid the messiness of our past. Jake squeezed Lucy's hand tighter than ever. Would this plea draw them tighter together, or would it further divide? Lucy felt emboldened. We can learn from who we were, Nora. The past doesn't have to dictate who we'll become. We have each other to lean on. She glanced at the crowd, seeking connection. Let us work toward a future where we acknowledge every part of our history, good and bad. A ripple of agreement moved through the audience. Slowly, several villagers nodded or murmured in approval. Had Lucy's voice and Nora's honesty ignited a spark of hope to chase away the shadows, Nora stepped off the stage, her presence now more subdued but still offering a depth of understanding. All I ask is for a chance to work with you all, to support this community as it deserves. As the crowd processed her words, a sense of renewed energy began to hum throughout the room. Lucy's heart fluttered with cautious optimism. Maybe they could unite. Perhaps they could face the secrets that had loomed over them for too long. Then, unexpectedly, a loud thud echoed through the hall. The double doors swung open once again, and a group of visibly agitated townsfolk burst in, holding papers and visibly distraught. Frantic voices filled the air, cutting through the hope that had begun to grow. You need to see this. One of them shouted, waving a document overhead. We've found the records. Lucy's breath hitched. This was the moment they all feared, the very truth that could shatter the fragile unity forming within the room. But she realized she wouldn't back down. They owed it to themselves to confront whatever lay ahead. What revelations would emerge next, and would they be strong enough to weather the storm? The commotion echoed like thunder in Lucy's ears. She gripped Jake's hand tighter, feeling the heat radiating from his palm. Their eyes locked a silent pact. Whatever was coming, they would face it together. The crowd inched closer, a swirling mix of anxiety and anticipation, all eyes on the outburst. The townsfolk who had just entered looked frantic, as if belief in reason had slipped away and despair had taken its place. What did you find? Lucy's voice trembled, filled with cautious curiosity. She could almost feel the pulse of the room shift, a collective breath being held in suspense. One of the newcomers stepped forward, her eyes frantic and wide. The old town records, they're here. We thought we lost them. But we didn't, and what we found. She hesitated, looking around as if gauging the crowd's readiness. Just show us. An impatient voice cried from the back. The urgency sizzled like an electric current through the hall. With shaky hands, the woman unfurled the document, revealing yellowed pages that bore the marks of time. These papers, they detail everything, the mistakes, the lies, and the betrayals that have haunted us. Murals of gasps swept through the audience, painting confusion over the tentative hope they'd just begun to foster. Lucy's stomach twisted into knots. The past was clawing its way back into the present. Then it's true? A man stepped forward, his brow furrowed, voice low. All of it? The stories we whispered late at night? They're real? Yes, she replied, the weight of the truth settling heavy in the air. There are names, events. Things we thought had been forgotten are here, carved in black and white. The tremor in her voice spoke louder than the words themselves, a savoring of dread mixed with the adrenaline of uncovering what had always been hidden. Nora, now standing quietly off to the side, took a deep breath, visible uncertainty on her face. We can't hide any longer. Ignoring our history will not make it disappear. It might be painful, but this is our chance to learn and to heal. Lucy turned her focus back to the crowd, feeling the electricity of their mixed emotions. Do we face this together? She asked, her voice bold but laced with vulnerability. Dare we believe that knowing our darkest moments might set us free? A man shouted from the back, we can't change what has been done. His face was drawn tight, the anguish in his eyes undeniable. No, Lucy agreed, but we can learn from it. We can share our burdens instead of carrying them alone. This may shatter our illusions, but it can bond us together if we let it. The murmurs intensified, a wave that crested then broke in 1,000 pieces, hope battling fear. Would they choose acknowledgement, even if it meant stumbling through the darkness? Jake spoke next, his voice a steady anchor. Everyone here is intertwined in this story. If we confront our past, we might be the ones to write a new narrative. Silence enveloped them, a fragile bubble of possibility suspended in the thick air. Suddenly, the document slipped from the newcomer's fingers, fluttering to the floor like a wounded bird. Gasps rang out as the words shouted to be read. Lucy felt her heart race as she leaned closer to peer at the winging papers, feeling as if she were about to gaze into the eyes of the past. As she reached down to grasp one of the pages, she caught a glimpse of something startling, something more than just a record. "Wait," she murmured, realization dawning on her. The faint outline of a name printed on the paper made her breath catch, unease creeping in, as if she stood on the edge of a cliff. What was it about that name? And why did it feel like a storm was brewing in her heart? Lucy didn't know it yet, but this revelation would lead her and everyone else toward a truth more powerful and more heartbreaking than they could have ever imagined. The room felt smaller, thick with fear and tension as Lucy's fingers grazed the brittle edge of the document. Her heart thumped loudly, echoing the questions racing through her mind. The name before her blurred momentarily, but still, she felt a jolt, something primal stirring within. Everyone around her seemed to hold their breath, eyes glued to her every move. "Lucy? What is it?" Jake leaned closer, a trace of concern etching deeper lines on his forehead. She couldn't take her eyes off the paper. The name was familiar yet abstract, like a melody she once knew but couldn't quite recall. Her mind flashed images of family dinners, laughter over forgotten moments, and shadowy faces. It can't be," she stammered, feeling ice run through her veins. "What does it say?" Another voice urged, cutting through her moment of shock. She inhaled deeply, bracing herself. It says my mother's name." The words fell heavy like lead balloons, dragging down the hope that had been just beginning to rise in the room. Silence thickened. The realization hung in the air, weighted by the consequences of the past. Her mother's name was etched in a record tied to this town, one she thought had been buried forever. "Your mom?" Jake's voice held both surprise and an unwavering support, his grip on her hand tightening. "What does it mean?" "I don't know," she breathed, scrambling through her memories, piecing fragments of a past she thought she understood. "But it feels like a connection, something I've missed. Maybe there's a reason I'm here today." Nora stepped forward, her gaze softening, understanding dawning on her face. "Lucy, this could mean something. It could be the key to unraveling all of this. To understanding why we're all gathered here in this moment." A rush of murmurs swelled through the crowd, curiosity pushing aside fear. Lucy looked around, sensing an unfamiliar strength rising within her. Breathing deeply, she made eye contact with the man who had questioned their plans earlier. "I know this is hard. But maybe it's time we start facing our truths, starting with my family's history. The things that can hurt us might also help us heal." The crowd shifted, a wave of nervous energy rippling through them. Her words seemed to spark something, a flicker of bravery, however tentative. The heavy air began to lift a little, like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. "Everyone has a story," Jake added, his voice rich with conviction. "Some are woven with joy and others with pain, but each one matters. If this town holds secrets about Lucy's past, maybe there are more hidden truths about all of us." Lucy looked at him. His certainty was a beacon, guiding her forward. This wasn't just her past, they were opening the door for all the unspoken stories that resided in each heart present. "Then, let's start digging," she declared, her tone stronger now. "Let us look at everything we've buried. We owe it to ourselves and those who came before us." Nora nodded, her expression resolute. "It's time we uncover the real history of this town. Together." Applause erupted, a nervous yet eager sound building hope and momentum. Lucy felt her fears melting away bit by bit, replaced by a fierce determination. This wasn't just about her mother anymore, it was about everyone. As the crowd began brainstorming ideas, someone suggested gathering in smaller groups to share their family histories and connections to the town. Lucy and Jake exchanged looks of solidarity, pushing away their uncertainties. But as excitement brewed, a latecomer rushed into the hall. She was out of breath, her expression stricken. "Wait. You need to see something." "There's more," she panted, clutching a tattered envelope in her hand. Lucy felt a shiver run down her spine. What could possibly lie within? As the newcomer approached, clutching the item closer to her chest, the collective anticipation in the air grew palpable. What new revelations awaited them? Lucy and Jake felt the tension in the room thicken as the newcomer held the tattered envelope, uncertainty swirling like leaves in a brisk autumn wind. "What do you have?" Lucy asked, her voice steady though her heart raced with anticipation. The woman took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly as she unfolded the paper and began to read. This is a letter dated 20 years ago. It's from your mother, Lucy." The room fell utterly silent. Lucy's breath hitched, and she felt Jake squeeze her hand harder, a lifeline against the torrent of emotions rushing through her. "From my mother?" Lucy echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. There was disbelief, excitement, and fear all intermingled within her chest. "Yes, it details her hopes for the community, talks about a local project that never saw the light of day, and a connection she felt with others. She believed in the strength of Willow Creek, even when everything felt broken," the woman explained, her voice barely wavering. Lucy's heart swelled. "What else does it say?" As the woman continued reading, a wave of recognition washed over Lucy. Words of love, of dreams, of resilience spilled onto the pages, capturing her mother's voice in a way she had never expected to hear again. Mention of families coming together, helping one another, illuminated their faces like fireflies in the dark. Tears brimmed in Lucy's eyes as she imagined her mother, crafting a vision for a family-oriented community, one dedicated to support and unity. The final lines struck her deep. "The past may haunt us, but our futures are in our hands. We must stand together. Only then can we heal." The crowd listened intently, and as the last words left the woman's lips, an overwhelming sense of connection surged through the assembly. They all held their breath, as if the air itself reverberated with the weight of Lucy's mother's message. "Maybe this is what we need," Jake said, his voice rich with conviction. "This letter is our bridge. It connects the past to the present, reminding us what truly matters." Heads began to nod, eyes brightening with new insights. Lucy felt hope bloom within her. Could they really do this together? Moved by the ripple of determination, Lucy stepped forward, wiping her tears with the back of her hand, and allowed herself to feel the momentum shifting within the room. "If my mother thought that we could rise above our hurt, then we can," she shouted, exhilaration surging through her. "Let us bring this community center to life, honoring her vision as we embrace our own futures. Let us make Willow Creek a place fueled by love, support, and healing." Applause erupted, echoing through the hallowed walls of the town hall, resonating like the beat of their united hearts. The rhythm of laughter and excited chatter filled the air, a collective surge of energy pushing them forward. Jake stepped closer, pride and admiration twinkling in his eyes. "What do you say we gather everyone together? Share not just our fears but our histories. Let us carve a new path forward, together." Overwhelmed with gratitude, Lucy nodded. "Absolutely. We've all been carrying hidden burdens for too long. It's time we face them and learn from each other." With newfound purpose, they implemented an open forum where townsfolk could share their histories, the truths of their pasts blending together in a beautiful tapestry of experience and resilience. Each story told fostered deeper connections, knitting their community tighter with understanding and solidarity. As dusk fell, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, Lucy and Jake stood hand in hand. The street outside bustled with families arriving, smiles lighting their faces as they shared stories of their own trials and triumphs. Together, they pieced together a plan for the festival, one that would celebrate their roots and embrace the future. "See? Jake whispered, a bright smile lighting up his face as they watched chatter and laughter fill the evening air. Look at what we've started. Lucy's heart swelled with joy, feeling a deep sense of belonging as they gathered with her neighbors, all singing the song of hope. I never imagined I could feel so connected. Thank you for helping me find the courage to face it all, Jake. He turned and wrapped her in a warm embrace, their hearts beating as one. And thank you for reminding me that we're stronger together. We'll always face whatever comes next, side by side. As Lucy looked into the faces of her friends and neighbors, she felt a warmth inside that wouldn't fade. They had faced their fears and built something beautiful from the ashes of the past. Their community was alive again, a testament to the power of love and healing. As the night deepened, Lucy realized the transformation that had ignited within her. She was no longer just a single mother, burdened by responsibility, but a beacon of light, yes, a warrior ready to battle life's struggles alongside her loved ones. Their story, one of courage, forgiveness, and understanding, was just beginning, and she was more than ready for it. There would be challenges, the shadows of the past would linger. But armed with their newfound unity and love, they would rise to the occasion. This was the moment. Love had indeed blossomed amid uncertainty, and as the laughter echoed through the streets of Willow Creek, Lucy knew, together, they could overcome anything. Now, don't wait another second. This is your moment to show your support. Subscribe immediately to the channel for more exclusive stories that will inspire your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let others join this incredible journey. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending, because your voice matters. And don't forget to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to share because only true fans understand how important it is to uplift our community.